Oh, hello there. Let's talk about the Virtual Boy. So this big red hunk of junk right here is called the Virtual Boy, released in 1995 by Nintendo, and pulled from the market about 9 or 10 months later. So this wasn't virtual at all. It was just like a foreground and a background kind of thing. It actually worked kind of well. There were some good games for it, like Wario Land. Nestor's Funky Bowling, which I have, is actually kind of a rare game. But yeah, this system ultimately failed quickly because I just don't think people were ready for this in 1995. It was advertised as a mobile unit, but where are you going to play this? You can play this in your fucking car, like Game Boy, but yeah, that's the Virtual Boy. Yes, the Nintendo Entertainment System. Let's talk about a few of my favorites. Alright guys, I only picked out a few games because we got a little bit of time here, but check this out. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. This game was such a good beat-em-up and such a good port of the arcade game. We played the crap out of this. Love the Turtles. The OG Castlevania, the original. They've remade this game so many times on so many different platforms at this point, but this is where it started. I love this game. You probably never heard of this game. It's pretty rare. No one's ever played it. Just kidding. This is one of the best games in the world. Obviously, Super Mario Brothers 3. Hey guys, we got to stop hating on the LJN logo, alright? This game is frustrating as hell, but it's actually a lot of fun. I love Jaws. Oh shit, get that out of here. Lastly, The Legend of Zelda, the original gold shiny cart. Gotta love it. The Nintendo 64. GoldenEye. Perfect Dark. Let's go. If you consider yourself a fan of Nintendo 64, but you don't know the game GoldenEye, then you're not a fan of the N64. Seriously, this game is infamous with the Nintendo 64. I remember multiple summers playing 4-player split screen on this bad boy with all my friends. The first-person mode is actually really good in this too. The story is awesome. You would call that a campaign now, but back in the day I think we just called them missions. Great game. Then there's also Perfect Dark, which is made by the same company, Rare, using the same game engine. But in this game, it's not James Bond or James Bond villains. It's actually an original science fiction storyline, and I actually have some friends who think Perfect Dark is a better game. I think it's 007. So guys, where do your allegiances lie? GoldenEye or Perfect Dark? Hi, let's talk about 4-player retro gaming. So it wasn't uncommon to see 4 controller ports on later home console systems, like seen here on the Sega Dreamcast, and of course the Nintendo 64. But what about for the old NES? Just 2 controller ports, right? Well, that's where the Nintendo 4-score comes into play. This bad boy would plug right into the NES, and then presto, 4 controller ports. Now it also had a turbo option, which depending on what game you're playing could help you or really fuck you up. There weren't many games that utilized 4-player for the NES. This was one of them right here, Nightmare on Elm Street. See the 4-player logo? Don't see that too often. I love this game. My friends and I played this with the Game Genie back in the day, and the 4-score and beat it. In one night, it was fantastic. Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter 2, Tekken, Injustice, Virtua Fighter, Soul Calibur, Killer Instinct. There are a lot of really good tournament fighters out there. You want to see one that isn't? Goddamn Pit Fighter. I really don't even have much to say about Pit Fighter besides it is terrible. It's not fun to fight in it. It's not fun to play. The controls are unbelievably stiff. Sometimes you don't even know when you're hitting somebody. I guess the characters kind of look real, but Mortal Kombat did that already. This game was made by Tengen, the company that destroyed me with the Roadrunner NES game, left me with very traumatizing events in my childhood. But yeah, if you're a retro collector, I would say if you could find this for a couple bucks, pick up the box, because it's kind of awesome, right? It just suffers from being a really awful game. What's up there, retro gamers? Hey, baseball season is upon us, and I love baseball video games. But let me point one out to you may not have heard of. It's called Hardball. Here it is, Hardball, for the Sega Genesis. Now, I never even played this game, And what turned me on when I saw it in the store, besides the incredibly low price, was the artwork and how incredibly jacked this baseball player is. This game came out in 1991. Begs to wonder, did the makers of this game know about the steroid crisis that was about to hit? Obviously, that's a silly conspiracy. Probably not. This guy looks like Jose Canseco, who did look like that because he was on roids. But yeah, baseball game that I've never played. Have you played Hardball? I love this artwork. I don't know. Let me know if you played it. What's up there, retro gamers? Hey, let's talk about video game magazines from the 90s. Yeah, so even in the early days of the internet, we still relied on magazines to give us information on our video games. I had a subscription to Nintendo Power, and these magazines gave you tips and tricks, strategies. There was posters in every one, and a lot of them gave you like previews of games to come. I love this magazine. Here you see Mario Kart 64. There was also EGM, Electronic Gaming Monthly. Here's a huge Resident Evil edition they did. Here's another one with, like, look at Soul Calibur, Spyro 2, Dino Crisis, which was Resident Evil meets Jurassic Park, 100%. Here's a big Game Pro magazine with, like, everything in it. Look, Sega, Nintendo, Jaguar, 3DO, CDI, Neo Geo, 32X, Arcade. Look at this. Here's a Nintendo Power Super Metroid, GoldenEye, Star Fox 64, Mega Man X2. Love it.